Zewe with the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for Wednesday, July 7. We are just coming off the 4th of July Independence Day holiday weekend here in America. What is independence anyway? One would think at least a few components of it would be the so well articulated notion of free speech and that of the right to pursue happiness. These ideas can also include the right to pursue truth, discuss topics, freely engage in debate, compare and analyze data, conduct solid research, evaluate situations, and get first-hand accounts of topics of study, and explore history without it being filtered, and avoid being forced to agree or disagree with anything. And that one can feel physically safe and be a valued member of the community throughout this exploration process. The classical notion of liberal democracy and progressive thinking has morphed into a totalitarian thought process and a woke-ism, resulting in an agree or shut up or be canceled or worse. The idea of freedom is being eroded away, and those who point this out are branded as, you guessed it, racists or oppressors, or conspiracy theorists. Disagree with a woke declaration, you must be a racist or an oppressor, or agree with racists and oppressors. And no documentation is needed on how these labels are even assigned in the first place. Where is our freedom going, and who is hurt in this encroachment? Social media in last week's report was revealed to be unfairly and with no consistency canceling, allowing abusive bullying, and censoring discourse and information that disagree with the woke narrative. Where else do we see an eroding of core values that underscore the freedoms I just mentioned? The most startling of locations, the university setting. One-sided, unthought out, never researched, and identity-driven declarations and edicts are coming out of universities all over the U.S., all targeting a population that is less than 2% of the U.S. and less than 0.2% of the entire planet. While the incidence of violence and hostility against said group is up nearly 600% in some places, anti-Semitism, often guised as anti-Zionism, consistently targets people who never get the benefit of any social justice campaign. Ironically, Jews are currently the target of social campaigns and activists. Here are a few examples. Yale University. Jewish students suffering isolation and even hostility when the Student Council passed a statement adopted by the Yale College Council last week, charging Israel with apartheid, genocide, ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians, and linked its policies to racism in the United States. This is an example of intersectionality based on lies. The charge is that Israeli trainings of U.S. officers are on how to administer various chokeholds. In fact, the trainings conducted in Israel for U.S. police forces do not concentrate on street-level law enforcement, but do concentrate on responding techniques to things such as terrorism. So, the entire assertion is based on a lie that CARE came up with, and it is simply not true if someone took the time to look up the training curriculum. New York University. More than 400 alumni, campus groups, faculty, staff, students all signed an open letter denouncing Israeli policies, calling for free debate on campus of Israel and Palestine, and pledging non-cooperation with NYU's Study Away campus in Tel Aviv. The statement issued its solidarity with the Palestinians. Thankfully, the school is rejecting the statement, but you can imagine how the Jewish or pro-Israel students feel going into a class among these signing professors, fellow students, member of campus groups, and staff members. In Pomona College in California, part of the prestigious Claremont Consortium, after several revisions, the student government there mandated that all student groups essentially directly or indirectly participate in BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction, or they lose their funding. Here's an example. A Jewish or pro-Israel campus group could not buy Sabra hummus to serve at an event because it's on the BDS list of companies to boycott. They cannot buy an efficient HP Hewlett-Packard computer, but have to work around finding technology that does not include components or companies on that BDS list. a list of companies from which the college funds are not allowed to be used because of perceived oppression. And yes, they are checking receipts. The University of Michigan, another prestigious university, multiple statements vilifying Israel and a lack of adequate response from leadership in the face of hostilities against Jews on campus include the following. After the May conflict between Hamas and Israel, the University of Michigan students, parents, and alumni were astonished at the onslaught of one-sided statements condemning Israel from student organizations such as the University of Michigan Central Student Government, the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts, the student government, and an email sent by the Ross School of Business Council to all its contacts and dozens of others. All of these communications had the same accusatory language that Israel is committing acts of apartheid, genocide, and settler colonialism. The statement's language focuses on Israel's displacement and violence towards Palestinians, but did not condemn Hamas's firing of more than 4,000 rockets into Israel with the intent to kill civilians. In addition, the Graduate Employment Opportunities Office, a labor union of graduate students, declared that they stand in, quote, full solidarity with the Palestinian people facing the onslaught of Israeli state terror. Parents and students are understandably concerned not only with the level of bias coming out of the school, but the uptick of anti-Semitic hostility on campus, and they are voicing their opinions but not receiving any substantial response. The university's Hillel House, which suffered its own vandalism during this period, issued the following statements in response to the ongoing tension and the lack of leadership that the university is showing. Executive Director Tilly Shamer stated that the widely distributed one-sided message, quote, made many Jewish students who are concerned about Israel in this moment feel upset, unseen, and unrepresented. Jewish and non-Jewish students who have chosen to speak publicly about these statements or share their concern for Israel and how it is depicted, or even simply calling for neutrality, whether on social media or through the community groups, have received disrespectful, mocking, and even hateful messages in response, unquote. These are just a very few examples of many of what's going on college campuses. The university was supposed to be a place that nurtured and encouraged freedom of thought, critical thinking and analysis, debate and discourse, all with integrity and safety from harm, physical or otherwise. Rules of engagement regarding logical rhetoric, the scientific method, and reasoned debate were supposed to separate the university student from immature, ignorant nature that comes from name-calling and fist-swinging. Shavua Tov. Have a great week.